Today's show is brought to you by KegConnection.com. Purchase all of your homebrewing supplies and draft beer equipment with everyday low pricing and everyday flat rate shipping at KegConnection.com. Right now, Keg Connection's doing their Father's Day super sale with homebrew kits, recipes, faucets, kegging kits, and so much more on sale up to 25% off. Go to KegConnection.com right now, use our promo code HHH, and you'll get another 5% off your order.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
Hey there, welcome to the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, visit homebrewhappyhour.com and click on that submit a question link at the top of the page. Or now you can call or text them in by using 325-305-6107. I am your host, Joshua Stubing, and I got a special treat for you today. I thought that the day was just clustered, was going nowhere, but I was able to get the man. It's like 8:26 in the morning in the beautiful state of Hawaii. I forget where you're at, but it's Mr. Todd Burns. Look at that pretty face.
Hey, I'm actually in Hilo, Hawaii. I'm staying at the Doubletree, which is a great hotel here. Has a nice bar with a lot of different beers on tap from around the island. So it's a pretty fun place. So this is just the background here is just a little garden they have right outside the door, but we actually stayed at the volcanoes the last few days, and this is kind of what the whole area looks like. So it's pretty nice. In fact, I'll give you all a special shot now that they've stopped mowing out here, or at least not mowing in my area of what it looks like out here.
Oh, yeah. So this episode,
that's paradise right there.
This episode is the best case to convince the vast majority of our audience to try the video episodes this week so that they can see. Right. Right now they're listening. They're skipping through. They're using their podcast fast forward 30-second button.
Yeah. Y'all don't know the kind of beauty you're missing with my face and all this beautiful plants here.
Yeah, and
sure it's a real treat.
And you've got your morning just out of the shower and had breakfast hair. I recognize that hair from traveling with you.
Yeah, it's still a little wet.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'd say. That's signature.
It's been a blast. They have I was going to tell you about a brewery they have here. Of course, they have Kona and some other brewery. There's a brewery here in Hilo. There's two of them that merged, and unfortunately, I've forgotten the name at the moment. But they have some really good beers. But the Big Island Brew House is incredible. If you ever get to the Big Island, it's kind of a trek. It's in a little town up close to the northern end, but you've got to make it there. It's one of the best brew pubs I have ever been in my life. It was just spectacular beers.
In your life?
Yeah, and they probably had 20 plus beers on tap. They had brewed all of them. It's a fairly small system. They looks like they brew every day. I think it was about 15 barrel. I could be wrong. It may have been 20 or more, but it definitely wasn't a very big system. I talked to the brewer a little while, kind of snuck back there and saw their operation. But in fact, they had a Baltic Porter on tap that won gold medal in the Great American Beer Festival last year in 2018.
Really? I'm surprised you didn't send any photo. Normally, when you're enjoying really good beer. Did you send me a photo?
Yeah, I posted some stuff. I sent you I sent you and James some photos.
Oh, you mean what you put on your Facebook? You expect me to follow you and have to watch it there?
I think I sent y'all actually emails. We'll determine that after the show.
Yeah, or knowing you, you faxed it over, if I'm not mistaken. You found a fax machine there and you put the photo in manually. I have been getting a kick out of the photos y'all been uploading. It's absolutely beautiful. The scenery there, it's very. I'm very envious of you. I almost shared, you and I were texting yesterday. You've been taking your girls scuba diving and you were asking.
I took them scuba diving. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you were asking me, you're like, I forgot how it came up, but you're like, oh, you're not certified, are you? and then you proceeded to rub
Well,
it.
you don't have to be. Yeah.
Yeah, you proceed to rub it in my face first off that I'm not certified, that I don't go scuba diving, and you made a Disney reference for me. What was it? It was something along the lines of, "Oh, I forgot. You don't need to be because at Disney World, Nemo's Scuba Adventures probably doesn't make you get certified or something
That's
like
right.
that." Yeah. So thanks for the low blows. I can't wait to have you back.
Yeah.
I do. The Hilo is it is on the main island, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. I love this. Yeah. If you're an audio listener, you do need to go to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, because he's like walking around as we're talking. I like it. Your background.
Well, that's a friend of mine in the background there.
Yeah. I'm sure you've been making friends with the locals. I was going to ask you, how long did it take at the hotels you've been staying at to correct their draft systems? Was it one day? Was it within the first hour of staying there?
I have to say, I was pretty impressed. Their draft system was working very, very well. I didn't see any foam. They seem like they really have it dialed in. So
were they using CM Becker flow control faucets?
I don't really want to answer that question. I just said they were working very well.
But they only, you're right. Yeah, that's hilarious. I love it.
It's not hard to get your system to work good in paradise,
That's everything else works great. What's the temperature right now? Everyone's just lounging around. I love it.
So it's not hot, it's not cold, it's kind of the perfect temperature. Hilo's a cool place. It's the other side of the island is kind of the sunny area where it's nice and warm and everything else. But it rains a lot in Hilo, but it's also just beautiful, and it depends on what you like. It's fun to go to both sides.
Oh yeah, I believe it. I want to get there one day. You don't obviously need a passport or any of that to get to Hawaii, but that it might be more realistic. But it's also probably a lot more expensive, believe it or not. I want to take my wife to Prague, and I actually think that might be a cheaper trip to go to Prague than to Hawaii. You would know. You've done both.
I don't know. I mean, the airfare, if you can get a good airfare, Prague's not terribly expensive. It's more expensive than Germany, but it's not. Well, it's pretty expensive. The hotels are pretty expensive. Right,
but I'm saying that I think everything else wasn't, though. Remember, that's why I'm saying I can't imagine. I can't imagine anything in Hawaii is not expensive. Is what I know. Obviously, nothing in Hawaii is cheap, but I bet you everything's probably marked up a little. I mean,
a gallon of milk is $8. So,
ooh, man,
milk's very expensive here. It's some other things. It just depends on what they can make here and what they have to bring in from the mainland.
For sure, yeah, those dairy cows are not like in paradise.
Although they do a lot of cattle on the Big Island. It has a ranch, kind of like the King Ranch. It's been here forever. It starts with a P. The Parker. Probably butchering that, but anyway, they have big ranches here.
Interesting. I wish if I went, I want to do the Jurassic Park film set tour. I think it's most of the movie, if not all of it, was filmed there in Hawaii, and you can go, like where they in the first Jurassic Park. I don't care about those other fake sequels and Chris Pratt's movie, whatever, or movies. The one like where they come in right to the island and then they land. That is for sure in Hawaii.
I think it's a different island, but yeah, it's funny how if you came to Hawaii, you want to see the movie version, the Disney version of Hawaii.
That's my life, buddy. That's my life. Oh yeah. Well, if it. The Polynesian Hotel at Disney, right out like close to Epcot, it's that Seven Lagoon Bay or whatever they call it there. That's basically Hawaii. So I guess I've technically been to Hawaii too, Todd. Just like China, Japan. I'm trying to think of all the pavilion, Norway. Yeah, I mean, I'm a world traveler.
Yeah, you sure are.
I do appreciate, man. I appreciate you taking the time to do this show because last week you were busy, I think at this time, scuba diving. And
I was diving. Sorry, everyone. I was diving.
This week, I wasn't going to bother you, but James had stuff come up. He ran off to help a customer and he couldn't do it. And I like to I didn't want to cancel the episode. I always joke when it's myself that, I'm going to do an episode by myself. I'm going to do it on water. I wasn't prepared. And believe it or not, I care what people think about me. I want to bring my best forward when I can. No comments on the way I dress or sometimes how I act at work, but I am trying my best most of the time. But so I texted you real quick. Joe said he could have done it, but not till later. But you stepped up. I appreciate it because I know when I'm in paradise, whatever that may look like, even if I just take the day off, I ignore your phone calls. So thank you for taking the phone call.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
Real quick, one last small talk question before we go into the questions that we have for this week's episode. What is, you're talking about Big Island Brewing as one of the best brew pubs you've ever been to, period. What is the best beer you had there? What was the style?
Well, the Baltic Porter was very, very good. There's another beer that they make that's, you know how I am with names. I can't think of it right now, but I can tell you the style was a kind of a Belgium style, which I'm not always the biggest fan of. It, they vary a lot, but the alcohol level on this one was a little high. I think it's 8.4.
Ooh.
But I had one of those last night. Somebody mentioned it to me. They're like, "You have to try this beer." They actually have kegs of it here in the hotel, so I didn't have to go back to the Big Island Brew House, and it was exceptional too. So.
Nice.
They have so many beers. I did a taster and did 6 beers, which were all good, every single one of them. And I couldn't even tell you what they were. They were, like I said, there were over 20 beers on tap. So
that's incredible. That's awesome. I'm envious for a number of reasons. One of them being that, but I do have. Oh, before we go, actually one more. I'm sorry. It's your weekly reminder that we are going to be at Homebrew Con at the end of this month, June 27th through the 29th, booth 719. We finally have. I don't have a link for you guys yet. If you want to check between this episode and next week's episode at homebrewhappyhour.com/sign up, you can reserve. We have swag in the making right now. James has some really cool CM Becker stuff. We've got some koozies finally being made. We've got little portable flashlights for I think Todd uses it, or James uses it in the brew room. There's we made up reasons for why you need this stuff that's going to be in our swag bag, but it's not live as of when if you're listening to this on day one, the Thursday, June the 6th, which is today, or anytime in the next day. It is not up yet because I want to get all the images all back to me, the proofs to upload. So you'll see what you'll be getting, but you can reserve it at homebrewhappyhour.com/sign up. Come to Providence, Rhode Island, drink beer with us. What's the food up there? Just, what is Rhode Island known for? Is it crabs, lobster?
Seafood.
Just seafood.
Obviously.
Okay. Just have seafood with us. I didn't know. I mean, like, isn't Maine like crab? And aren't like
lobster, it definitely have they're very close to lobster land.
There we go, lobster land. Let's have lobster together. We are going to be hanging out with a lot of listeners who are going to be at HomebrewCon, and even if you can't hang out with us, if you're going to be there, reserve your swag bag and we'll be happy to give you one. And even if you don't reserve it, come by the booth and we'll give you one anyway, because we have a ton to give out. So we'll be happy to see you. Mr. Burns, I won't waste any more of your vacation. I'm going to get right to question number 1. Came from Jean. I think it's John when it's Jean, and it's a male. I think that's French. If it's Jean, my apologies, Jean. So listening to you guys has been great, and especially hearing you talk about styles you obviously enjoy. Yes, I'm talking about how much Joshua talks about Kolsch's lately. This must be what Todd feels like when Joshua talks about Founder's Breakfast Stout. Kidding aside, it made me think of this question. I want to brew a Kolsch, but I've never had a Kolsch before. Would you recommend that I buy a Kolsch from the store so that I have a general idea about what it should taste like, or should I not worry about it? Have you guys ever brewed a style of beer that you've never tasted before? What was it, and how did it turn out? Thanks for taking my question and for producing my favorite podcast, Jean. You know how buttering me up at the end, that was a good tactical move, because that's why I put your question on the show, obviously. But Todd, I haven't talked about Founders first off in a while, so let's get that out of the way, John. Secondly, yeah, I talk about Kolsch's a lot. I drink a lot of Kolsch. Todd had a whole keg of Kolsch with me there by myself earlier this week.
No,
you have some left. I was hanging out with Vilver and your dad. Do you think that I was drinking heavily that night? I wasn't.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Did my dad at least have one, or
No, he didn't want he didn't want any. He just he came for the chickens. Like you have him on chicken
put up
duty.
the chickens? Yeah. They're taking care of everything while I'm gone. Yeah, first of all, listeners, please don't encourage Josh and James to talk about the only two styles of beer they've decided they're going to drink now anymore, because I'm so sick of hearing about it. So, Jean-Jean, please don't encourage him. But yeah, I think that there are some good styles of Kolsch that you can buy in the U.S. There's obviously a lot of American companies that make them, but one style or one brand that I've seen a lot in the U.S. Is Fruth. And Fruth is one that I think you could probably buy in your local area, or maybe have them order. It is definitely distributed in the United States, so that is the one I've been able to find a lot. There's another one, and I unfortunately can't remember the name of it. That if you go to the German section of a place that carries a lot of beers, there's a fairly decent chance you'll be able to buy a Kolsch. Remember that Kolsch is only made in Cologne. If it's a German company selling Kolsch, it's going to be made in Cologne or very close to Cologne. So if you see a Kolsch and it says it's made in Cologne, that's a real Kolsch. Fruth is a good one, I think, too, because it's kind of in between some of the ones that are super. They tend to get sweet and then get dry, and there's a lot of variation within the style. Locally, when you're in Germany and in Cologne, Fruth's a good one. Fruth is the one that we tend to always end up going to first, because when you're walking through the area, it's right there. But I think that if you try a Fruth, then you have an idea of what a Kolsch should taste like, and that's a great place to start.
Oh yeah, Fruth, FRU with an umlaut and an H, is like drinking a cloud. Now it's not. It is one of my favorites all-time Kolsch. Peter's Kolsch edges it out just a little for me. Peter's Kolsch was not distributed stateside. I've checked.
No, you should go to Cologne and try one of those.
Exactly. I agree. But real quick, I'm going down a really fast rabbit hole. Can I not call my Kolsch a Kolsch because I'm brewing it in the Austin, Texas area? Do I call it a blonde? What does that matter?
It's not a Kolsch unless it's brewed in the Cologne area, is what people in Cologne would say. In the United States, we can do things like that and get away with it, but nobody in Europe could brew a Kolsch style beer and call it a Kolsch. It would be against the rules there. But in the United States, it's kind of like cheese. A lot of the cheeses that we were importing into Europe, that were American made. We import a mozzarella into Europe. They've kind of put a stop to that. We can call it mozzarella here, but we can't come. And I may be wrong about that particular, if mozzarella is one.
I'm going to forward you those emails when you are proven wrong.
Yeah. But whatever that local style is, you can't call it that in Europe unless it's actually made in that area.
So it's like champagne and sparkling wine.
It's exactly the same as that.
Okay, so what do I call it then? A blonde?
I would call it a Kolsch.
Okay.
Because we're in the United States, we can do whatever the hell
Because
we
I'm
want.
American and I do what I want. That's right. I can't. 4th of July can't come quick enough. We're just going to be super American on that episode.
Hey, but by the way, while we're being super American, happy D-Day, everyone.
Oh, absolutely.
We're recording this on the 75th anniversary of D-Day, so that was quite a milestone in our history.
Yeah, a huge accomplishment. The one thing I saw someone that I follow on Twitter mention something about they're super like me, super sarcastic, super cynical about everything. But the one thing they won't be cynical about is World War II veterans, and how as long as they're around, we need to honor them. And I wholeheartedly support that sentiment. Like, World War II vets have my utmost respect. Those dudes they were hardcore, man. And I say dudes in a collective sense. Everyone from that era, just incredible. Your Pop's generation, the work ethic, I think is what punches me in the face the hardest. Like just but that's a whole different podcast, and that's a lot more self-deprecating lines that I could have to read off. But also part of Jean-Jean's question, I have never brewed a style that I've never tasted before, but again, giving Todd ammo to poke more fun at me is probably because I don't really veer off the spectrum too much. I'm not doing, like, if someone said, hey, brew this strawberry rhubarb peach sour, I wouldn't brew it anyway. I've never had one. I don't think they exist. They probably do somewhere in the Pacific Northwest.
I mean, that style would just be a sour, and you definitely had a sour. So,
right, but you're right. Okay, you're right. Good point.
We've pretty much, I mean, there are probably styles I haven't had, but I don't know what they are. I think I've almost had every style there is.
You're right.
And so I've never brewed a beer that I haven't tried at least the style.
Yeah.
I may not have tried that exact combination, obviously, but the style. So some beers like a Kolsch, even though when you drink them a lot, or an alt, since y'all love to talk about alt as well, they are very, very specific style. But if you go to 5 different breweries in that town, you can start to taste the variations as you drink it more and more. But when the style is an IPA, I mean, that's all over the board. I mean, I had an IPA last night that most people would call a pale ale, or even less than a pale ale, and I've had pale ales that definitely tasted like IPAs,
like yours. So
you really go off the edge on some styles where there's just so much variation, and then some styles are much closer to being the same consistently.
No, that is a good point. And talking about going off the style or going off script, one reason I was really hoping James would be on this, whether you were on or not, I have visual evidence from his Instagram. You don't do Instagram, so you have no idea, but I'm about to shame him on our Homebrew Happy Hour Instagram page, instagram.com/Homebrew Happy Hour. He's been drinking New England IPAs and enjoying them, according to his Instagram. What do you think about that?
You're a liar. You're a liar, Josh.
Hold on. I'm going to put this for, you can't see it, but the listeners, boom, there's a picture right there on our screen. Says, hold on. That's the second one. Let me put the first one to shame him for good. First, he goes, I'm having a Brewheart Official, which I think they're a German company. So hi guys, having a Brewheart Official Hazy, DC. Wow. Great aroma with the tropical hop flavor. You guys know how I feel about IPAs, and this is excellent. And then he put something in German that means great job, Andre. And then the second one, boom! Now I'm on to a Juicy Lou. What a tasty New England IPA. Generous amounts of Citra and Mosaic hops. Okay, I'm calling it. He's either pandering to the guy or James has been lying to us. Those are the only two options.
Well, I think it's okay to drink an IPA if it's made in Germany.
Okay, good point. I bet a German IPA is probably not an American IPA.
No, it probably tastes exactly the same, but as long as it's brewed in Germany, then it's okay with James.
You're right. That it's last week you weren't on the show. We went over I can't even pronounce the word, but the German purity law. And like James, he's a limited government type dude, but with beer, he's like, they must stick to the German purity law. Like he was bringing back some heavy vibes of rule following, but he definitely a fan of the rockish, whatever it's called. I can't even remember what the purity law is, but
no, they just started mowing right next to. Can y'all hear that?
No, you're good.
I'm gonna move just.
Must be nice being on the move, being able to be on the move. So Jean,
it's really loud. I can't believe you can't hear that.
No, it's not annoying enough. Well, we're good. Okay. Yeah. Jean.
I'm gonna hide behind a curtain over here.
Quit interrupting me so I can segue us out of this. There you go. The scenic fire extinguisher shot for Todd. Jean, thank you so much for submitting the question. Todd, I know, again, I appreciate you sticking around and doing it. So let me get to our last question. It came from Doug N., who used the submission form at homebrewhappyhour.com. Doug wrote, hi, Homebrew Happy Hour. Thank you for putting together a great show. I never miss an episode. I have the perfect question for the Cat Connection experts. I've been homebrewing for almost 5 years, and as a husband and dad of 2 girls under 2, Sorry, dude. I'm looking to make the bottling process faster. I'd prefer to not bottle and have a teaser. Pardon me. I'd prefer to not bottle and have a teaser, but I currently can't go that route. Since I'm limited to bottles for now, I was thinking that instead of the time-consuming traditional process of waiting for it to naturally carb, I could use a keg to carb the beer, then immediately bottle from the keg all at room temperature. Is this a good idea? If so, do you think this would be fast enough to justify the investment? What other advice do you have for me to make bottling faster? Thanks for the entertaining show, Doug. Todd, I don't bottle. I've never bottled besides with you in the early days, and that wasn't even really bottling. It was I don't know. I'm glad you were on the show because this is right up your alley. I know Blickman makes that beer gun, and that's to help with the bottling. Have you the room temperature thing seems like the red flag to me. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I should preface this by saying that I have never done exactly what he's talking about. But the reason I've never done that is because I think you would definitely, that's always a great way to put something. I think you would definitely, I think you would have issues. And the reason you would have issues is that the beer itself would be very warm, and beer that's very warm foams. So even something like the Blickman beer gun, well, first of all, it's going to be very hard to force carbonate that warm. I mean, you could do it, but you're going to have to wait a long time for it to calm down afterwards. And then you hook it up to the Blickman beer gun or some other counter pressure bottle filler like that. And the whole idea of a counter pressure bottle filler is that you're equalizing the pressure out between the bottle and the keg, so they're exactly at the same pressure. So when you transfer the beer over, you don't have a lot of volatility, but you still have some. And if you're trying to transfer room temperature beer over, I think you're going to have a lot. I think it's going to be very difficult to do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know that cold is what you need. I mean, to do the forced carb, like we, have the beer. I don't know the exact temperature that we shoot for, but I know you can't be too cold. Like the colder it is, the easier it is for the CO2 to absorb into that liquid, correct?
Yeah, if you could get it down to 28, that would be, I mean, somewhere right before the beer freezes. The colder it is, the more it's going to absorb and the easier it's going to absorb. And also the calmer it's going to be as you're transferring it over. It's not going to, because what happens when beer warms up is the bubbles want to get out of the beer. And when it's really, really cold, they don't want to get out of the beer as much. So, if you try to transfer beer at a very, very warm temperature like that, you're going to be really fighting against that. So I don't know. I mean, I think the thing to do would be to, if you want to try it, we have been proven wrong on numerous occasions on this show. And I think you should try it. And then you could call back in or maybe we could have him on the show and he could tell us what a bunch of idiots we are. But I'm fairly confident it's going to be very difficult to do.
If we had every person who corrected us on the show, I could do 3 years worth of shows, my friend. We'd have a lot of episodes. Let me see. That's 52. Yeah, 156 people. I could muster that. I just Googled real quick what is room temperature because I was going to say, is it like 75? But this says a comfortable ambient temperature generally about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That doesn't.
Oh, that's funny. Those people have not met my father. My father would argue that is an extremely cold room and wasting a lot of money in air conditioning. So
that's what my dad taught me. No, my parents actually, they're home. They're way older than me. And my wife keeps our house at 79. My office, thankfully, right now is at 71 or 72. But she keeps our house at 79. She must have come from the same cloth as your pop.
She did. She did. That's exactly where my dad would like to keep it, but my mom won't let him. So
good. It's summer, especially in the summer. You gotta stay cool. So okay, let's say that was Doug's only option was to do this all at room temperature, and we're telling him that's not that great idea. Do you have any advice on helping make the bottling process faster, or is this going to be like a pitch of like, no, that's why we told you should keg kind of thing?
No, I mean, I guess what I don't understand is why does he want to go into a keg? Maybe I missed something on the question. Why does he want to go into a keg and then go into bottles? Why doesn't he just bottle beer like everybody else does?
Right. Well, he doesn't want to. He is impatient naturally carbing in a bottle. It takes long. It takes longer.
Yeah, I mean, I think he needs a refrigerator.
Yeah, I knew that.
I mean, he needs to buy a cheap stand-up refrigerator at a garage sale for, $100 and cool the beer down. Or I got a better idea. I used to do this a lot. You just put it on ice. But if you have a big ice, well, most people probably don't have that big of an ice chest, but you could ice the beer down. I mean, that would work.
That's not a bad idea. 'Cause I imagine he's saying he currently can't go that route. He didn't add specifics, but using my detective abilities and context clues, I'm gonna say he probably doesn't have the space for an extra fridge. And being married and a father of 2 daughters, and I'm a father of 3 daughters, I understand. Like I had to build out the garage to have space for the things I wanted. My wife, I have no domain in the rest of the house. The actual place where I live, I have no say in any of that. So I sympathize with you, Doug. I understand. And he didn't want to probably say that because you were going to ream him like you ream me that, well, Doug, what you do is you put your foot down and you buy a fridge and you tell your wife, this is the beer fridge. That's what you were.
Yeah, be a man. Yeah,
see, I knew that. That's, yeah. Doug, obviously,
we're going to get some comments on that.
Doug has obviously never missed an episode because he talks to you like he asks questions like I do. I know what to leave out and what to include. Look, I would say, Doug, for bottling, that is just the nature of the beast. But the icing thing, I'm interested in that because, like what Todd's saying, if you can find a way to chill the beer for the sake of getting the carbonation levels done quickly and efficiently and not losing them, because like Todd said, when that beer warms up, it doesn't matter. Well, you're gonna have a hell of a time carbonating, and you're gonna get foam pretty much no matter what transfer method you use from that keg to the bottle, right?
So just do what every person's done in college for 100 years. Buy a trash can, or use a trash can you already have. I'd put a trash bag over it if I were you, if you already been using it, and put it on ice, and problem solved.
Let's try that. I know we have those trash cans there at headquarters.
I mean, we don't have to try it. I know if you cool the beer down to ice cold, it will work fine.
No, I mean, I want to try the experience of let's brew. One of our coworkers, Zach up there, I forget what he's brewing, but it's some wheat beer, something we don't care about. Let's take a batch of his and put it in a keg, and then try to do that method and transfer and see, because I think we have a beer gun there, and we don't necessarily have to use a beer gun. What if you didn't use like a Blickman beer gun? What would be Dud's other way? Just putting
counter. I mean, there's a lot of different counter pressure bottle fillers on the market. You'd have to have a counter pressure bottle filler to do it efficiently. Otherwise, even if the beer's cold, you're going to get foam. I mean, the other way to do it is just to take a hose and fill it up like they do when they're filling a growler. But the problem is you're going to get oxygen in the beer bottle, probably, unless you get a lot of foam on the top and you cap it right as the foam's coming out. So you could easily oxygenate your beer. That's the big risk, is oxygenating the beer.
Oh, good point. I'm glad you brought that up, because I wouldn't have thought of that, and that would be probably his follow-up. Like, hey, my beer tastes like cardboard, and whatever other off notes come from oxidation. But yeah, Doug, I guess at the end of the day, what Todd's saying is get yourself a Keyser when you have that route, but don't stop brewing. Joking aside, don't let your situation of having a bottle and natural carb is what you have to do. Then darn it, keep doing it, because I think that having the bottle is better than not brewing at all, or not having homebrew at all. I don't know. Yeah. Todd, that doesn't.
You just have to tell your wife, this is what I'm gonna do. My wife's
yeah. Yeah, even in the depths of the hotel jungle, Todd. I will say this.
Up on me and hear things,
I was gonna say, one time she was out of town and I was up there with you, and I forgot what you were saying. You were saying something about her not being around to make dinner or something, and the way you said it, she was hundreds of miles away from us, and you still whispered when you were talking about your wife. So yeah.
I'm a big talker.
Yeah. Don't listen to him when he says, just tell her what you're going to do. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Burns, hey man, that's all I've got for you today. And we actually hit longer than I thought. Please go enjoy the rest of your vacation. I will leave you alone now until the next major emergency pops up.
I am heading to the beach right now. I'll see you later.
Hey man, it was good seeing you. I'll talk to you later.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye. And that's going to do it, friends, for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, visit homebrewhappyhour.com and click on the Submit a Question link at the top of the page, or now you can call or text them by using 325-305-6107. Thank you to our show sponsor, KegConnection.com, for supporting our podcast and the homebrewing community. Go to KegConnection.com, use the promo code HHH, and you're going to get 5% off your order. Remember, Father's Day sale is going on right now. Go pick up some good deals while you can. On behalf of Todd Burns, the absent James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, I'm Joshua Stubing. Thank you for listening.